Namaskar everyone and very good evening. So today is our fifth lesson on Astaunga Yoga. So I shall begin as usual by paying my obeisance for beginning the class. And Sri Ananda Murthy is the founder of the mission of Ananda Marga to spread the gospel of yoga. Okay, so he's behind this, the inspiration behind this course and all other talks that we are doing, right? So this week this will be the outline of the presentation of this week. So we will see something from the previous class. And today, this class also we will look a little bit on the theory of karma and samskara, and then we'll relate that with karma yoga, karma sannyasa. And then we will look into this the sixth link of Astaunga Yoga, is dharana. Then we'll cover on two aspects of niyama sadhana, saucha and santosha. And sadhana and conclusion. Okay, as usual. So the theme of Astaunga Yoga is always centered on the definition of yoga. Okay, so there are few definitions of yoga by different schools. Okay, and this is the definition of the school of Tantra. Okay, and in Tantra, we stick to the original interpretation. That is, yoga is union of Jivatma and Paramatma. Okay, so etymologically also yoga means union. Okay, and as I mentioned many times repeatedly, so the process of yoga begins with the individual. Okay, so understanding your individuality is very important, your unique consciousness. Okay, so without that, you can't begin the process of yoga. Okay, so again, last week we stressed on this point. Focus of yogic practice is individual, and with regards to samskaras, okay, so every jiva, every living being, okay, we're talking about human being here, guided by samskaras or reactive momentum. Okay, reactive momentum is a Latin word. It means your own action becomes reactive momentum. It means you perform many actions, and all this in the collective form is known as samskara in Sanskrit. So when you minus your samskara, then only you can actually be aware of your own self. Okay, we have given some what I call some examples last week. For example, okay, once again, I would like to request all participants, please mute your what I call audio, because causing distraction. Thank you. Okay, now looking at this diagram again and again. Okay, so this is the structure. Okay, and if you are an ardent seeker, you might have done some research. School of Vedanta might explain this slightly differently. It doesn't matter. Okay? But this is linked. We use this model. It's not just model. Like you have chitta, which is the objective mind. So you have. So this is what you can be aware of. Okay? As I mentioned earlier in the previous classes, you have 5 layers in chitta. Okay? So unless you unfold your chitta, you won't be able to really experience your aham and mahat. So, in connection with this model about Chitta, Aham, and Mahat, okay, so today I would like to explain certain things with regards to this yogic practice. So according to our Guru, said a yoga sadhaka, yogic practitioner, must be a theist or astika. In Sanskrit, we call it astika. And what is meant by astika? Okay, so normally people say astika means someone who believes in God. Okay, in this context, astika means someone who acknowledges the reality of jivatma, means you and other living being, Paramatma or universal consciousness, and the Vedas. So the Veda is a word which was formed from the root word vid, which means knowledge, like vidya. So Veda refers to the highest knowledge or spiritual knowledge. And of course, normally people might, when we say Veda, people refer to Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Sama Veda, and Tarva Veda. But in actual context, Veda means knowledge, okay, spiritual knowledge. And any realized master who disseminate knowledge through his own realization, that can be known as Veda. Okay? For example, what Ramana Maharishi thought, some of Ramana Maharishi's teaching, so they compile it. Actually, it is a Veda. Okay? In Ramakrishna Mission, they have some collection. So they may not have, they did not compile it as a work. Okay, so Veda can be compiled and become a Shastra, or sometimes it is just direct communication between the disciple and the master. Okay, so, and Veda explains about the reality of life, reality of consciousness, about the world, and Paramatma, and the means to attain realization. Okay, so this just means there are some schools says that you don't have to believe in anything, you don't have to understand about universal consciousness, you can just do yoga. Okay? Because even the word yoga is distorted, maybe I would say relegated to the physical level, because a lot of people identify themselves as yogis and yogis. You will see in this internet website, just by practicing few yogic posture, you can't become a yogi. Okay? Yoga is a holistic practice, and yeah, Astaunga yoga, the 8 limbs of yoga. Okay, I mean, only when you practice the 8 limbs of yoga, you can become a yogi. Okay, so for that, it is important for you to have an understanding about Jivatma, Paramatma, and the Vedas. All right, next. Okay, last week I touched lightly on theory of karma. Karma means action. Okay, and every action or karma will have a reaction or karma pala. And the collection of karma pala, all karma pala become will be known as samskara. Okay. Actually, we don't have much time to cover on the theory of samskara, so we may do it separately after the course. Okay. We will announce about it. Okay, then, so you see, there's samskara. You have sanchita, prarabdha, and agami, which I explained last week. Sanchita means the collection of all your samskara. Prarabdha is the samskara in a particular life. For example, the current samskara, what you are experiencing, okay, in this. Based on your current prarabdha, your lifespan will be determined. Certain the major things in your life will be determined. For example, your profession, your gender, okay, I mean, your number of kids, your spouse, and so on. So agami, okay, is your new action based on your willpower. So agami also known as pratyaya mulaka karma. Okay. As prarabdha is the samskara mulaka karma. Okay. So this way, we are going to discuss about the concept of samskara. Okay. So earlier, last week, I'll share about this again. We discussed last week about how an action will become a samskara. Okay. So I gave the coffee experience. It means you can cultivate a new habit. Okay. So for example, you start to drink coffee. So the first day, the coffee experience becomes a memory. And because of that memory, you start to repeat the action. So you start to drink coffee again and again. Okay. So up to a point, like in the beginning, you realize that you drink coffee. But after coffee memory become very strong in you, there's an addiction. If you see the number 3 picture, the third picture. So when someone is addicted to something, for example, people they feel that at 4 o'clock they must drink coffee or must drink tea or any other habit that you have cultivated. So that means the reaction, okay, in your chitta, in your mind, begin to control you, begin to dictate your action. Okay, this is how samskara works. So the more samskara dominates you, the less you will exercise your willpower. Okay, so if you unburden yourself from samskara, the more willpower you have. Okay, please understand this principle. Okay, so the samskara stored in the chitta will cause every individual to perform action. Okay, naturally your body, your conscious mind, and subconscious mind will perform. Okay, will perform new karma, but always the prarabdha will be at the background. Okay, so your samskara, the collective samskara, will influence your. I mean, that is the cause of your purushartha. That means in each life you have purushartha because of your samskara. So how much samskara that you have to express through artha and kama, it depends on how much you accumulate it. So majority of people, their samskara is at the basket artha and kama. Okay. So if you want more spiritual samskara, you have to cultivate more of dharma. Okay. Last week there were a few questions about that. Okay. But how to influence this whole samskara. So you have to plant new samskara, stronger samskara, which is dharma. So now, up to this point, so we are talking about this union of Jivatma and Paramatma. So Jivatma, the sense of being an individual becomes stronger and stronger with more samskara. Okay. So if you want to be aware of your higher nature as the Atman, you have to unburden your samskara. And most of your samskara are worldly in nature. Okay. So you cannot simply remove the samskara. Okay. It's like removing grains from the container. I mean, samskara has to be expressed naturally. But in the yogic system, so they recommend the practice of karma yoga. Okay. What is karma yoga? So again, I can't do justice to this topic because this itself is a heavy topic. So in future we can have a separate topic on this. But I have to touch lightly on this to give you an understanding about it. Okay. So karma is an action with the spirit of dedication. Okay. So most of you, okay, majority of you have some cause in that. For example, you have a family, so you work hard for your family. Okay. So some people might work, a scientist might work for a cause. Maybe they want to invent something. Okay. So this is also karma yoga. So in karma yoga, there's a dedication. So everyone perform action. But when there's a spirit of dedication, that is karma yoga. Okay? So first, we need to have that spirit. Okay? So that means you don't perform the action to expect immediate result. In Karma Yoga, first there should be a spirit of dedication. And the next stage, Karma Yoga, will be transformed into Karma Sannyasa. Okay, so I like to quote here, there's a sloka from the Gita, which says, you have a right to perform your prescribed duties, but you are not entitled to the fruits of action. Never consider yourself to be the cause of the results of your activities, nor be attached to inaction. That means you shouldn't be idle. Everyone should be active. Okay, because we are we have samskara. Naturally, you will be motivated to perform some action. Okay? Even when you sleep, I mentioned last week. Even if you sleep, you can only sleep for certain hours. So that naturally you will wake up because you have samskara, you have karma to do. Okay. So you see, in this world, you'll see certain classes of people who becomes who take up the life of monk. Okay. In Sanskrit, in India, we don't use the word monk; we use the word sannyas, sannyasi. So sannyasi comes from the word sannyasa. Sannyasa is formed from the word satyam and nyasa. Satya means truth, absolute truth. Okay. So the goal of yoga is Brahma, the supreme being, and that supreme being is the absolute truth. Satyam Jnanam Anandam Brahma. This is, okay. One of the Upanishad, it says Satyam Jnanam Anandam Brahma. It means Satyam, Brahma, the supreme consciousness, is actually absolute entity. Satya means changeless. Okay. Ananda means it's infinite. Jnana means knowledge. So, and what you see in this world is asatya. Okay. And asatya means because its nature is always changing. Okay. In the tantric philosophy, they use another word called apekshika satya. Apekshika satya means relative truth. Okay, so whatever which we experience is relative truth, but Brahma is the absolute truth. So, okay, back to the word sannyas. Okay. So, someone who take up a life of sannyas, it's actually they take up that kind of life because they want to. They decide to focus on enlightenment in their life. Okay? So they approach a guru and dedicate their whole life to the guru. Okay? It means they dedicate they dedicate their life for their own enlightenment. So sannyas. So nyasa means identification. Okay, so suppose someone take up sannyas, okay, they will go and live in the monastery. So the master will assign some duties to them. You say, okay, you take care of the kitchen, or you take care of the press, okay, you write book, or the master will send them away to another ashram. Okay, you have the capacity to teach, so you take up teaching. So according to the capacity of the disciple, the master will assign some duties. Okay, so why? So let's read the first bullet. The first bullet is one sloka from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 5, sloka 2. Renunciation and performance of action both lead to freedom. Of the two, performance of action is superior to the renunciation of action. Right? Okay, as I mentioned earlier, nobody could actually avoid action. Okay, they can't avoid. So you naturally have to perform action. But there is a style of performing action. So first we mentioned about karma yoga. Okay? So first you have to become efficient in performing karma yoga. Then the next stage is when you dedicate. So you don't even take any credit for the action. Okay? So you don't live. You don't live in this world to enjoy the fruit of your action. Okay? Your purpose is satya. So first the certain class of people will become sannyasi. So they take up that kind of life. So the guru will tell them what to do. Okay. So throughout their lifespan, they perform a lot of action, and through the natural action, a lot of this, a lot of their samskaras will be exhausted. It's a kind of purification. Okay, so you see the second bullet, sannyasa or mighty arm. Mighty arm refers to Arjuna who receives this instruction. It's hard to attain without karma yoga. The man of meditation purified by karma yoga quickly goes to Brahma. Okay? So when you take up meditation, karma yoga is a prerequisite, okay, compulsory. Okay. So if somebody just want to do meditation without karma yoga, so they can't go very far. It's just like you don't unload, you don't unburden yourself from your load, can't move very far. Okay. So here in Gita, in Bhagavad Gita, they use the word karma sannyas. There are two types of sannyas here, which they recommend. So one is absolute sannyas or purna sannyas. So purna sannyas is for those who dedicate themselves, okay, to the mission of the Guru. So then the majority of people like us who become householder. Okay. So the life of householder is not inferior. Okay? So you have your own role, they have their own role. So you can take up the path of karma sannyas. It means all your duty towards your family, okay, towards your organization, your career, even as a citizen, towards society. All these you perform with the spirit of karma sannyas. You also dedicate. You don't live in the ashram. You dedicate it to your guru, okay, and work. Okay. So this is the path. Okay. So if you want to become a yogi, definitely karma sannyasa is a must. But first you learn the process of karma yoga, then it leads to karma sannyasa. Okay. Right. So this is in brief about karma yoga and karma sannyasa. The next, you'll move to the topic of this week. Right. So last week I mentioned about pratyahara. Okay. Pratyahara means to withdraw the mind from its object. It means in your process of sadhana, you have yama, niyama, asana, pranayama. The fifth link is pratyahara. Okay. Although most people casually say, I'm going to meditate, or I'm meditating, and so on. So you are not in meditation yet. Meditation is the seventh limb. Okay. And most people, they are struggling with pratyahara. Okay. In the Yoga Sutra itself, they said out of these 8 limbs, the first 5 are known as Bahiranga Yoga. That means external yoga. Okay. So then you will spend a lot of time in perfecting this Bahiranga Yoga. And after you perfect this Bahiranga Yoga, then only you can move to the Antaranga Yoga, Dharana, Dhyana, and Samadhi. Okay. So last week, we touched on this Pratyahara, the process of withdrawing, and the stages in Pratyahara, which are Yatamana, Yatireka, Ekendriya, and Vashikara. Okay, so after you master Pratyahara, then only you can move to the state of Dharana, which is the topic of this week. So Dharana is a process concentrating the chitta, that means your mind, the objective mind, on a prescribed point. So in our school, in any school of yoga, the acharya or the teacher will reveal the process. Okay, according to Yoga Sutra, Dharana is defined as Deshabandha Chittasya Dharana. Means Dharana is locating the mind firmly in an area or region of body. Okay. You see, Desha means space. Bandha means lock. So Chitta is the objective mind. In Dharana, you lock your mind in a particular space. Okay. So to understand this, let me give an example. So one of the masters, Swami Sivananda, he said, if you can concentrate on a particular point or a particular object, or even on the mantra, okay, even for 8 seconds without a break, 8 seconds, that is one dharana. And if you can extend this another 8 times, that means 8 times 8, that is 64 seconds continuously. Okay. So this, without a break, the dharana of 8 seconds continuously for 64 seconds will become one dhyana. And 64 times another 8, flowing without a break, another 8 times. 64 times 8, it comes to about 20 minutes. That's where you reach samadhi. Okay? But usually you focus on something 3 seconds or so, the concentration will break. Okay, so to attain siddhi in dharana, so you have to you should be able to do your pratyahara. Okay? Significant. Okay, and you don't have to worry about this. We just try to understand the concept of dharana. Okay, so in dharana, some schools, or even the school of tantra, they will teach you to concentrate on the controlling point in certain chakras. Okay, so the mind will be fixed in a specific chakra and engaged in cosmic ideation. And through this dharana, the sadhaka will be able to unfold the Vijnanamaya kosha of the fourth layer of the mind. Okay? You see, last week, when you do pratyahara, okay, you see here, Annamaya kosha is the body, Kamamaya kosha is the conscious mind, Manomaya kosha is the subconscious. Okay? So Manomaya kosha, you will stabilize through the practice of pranayama. So then the next kosha, which is known as Atimanasa, where the samskara is being stored. So the process of pratyahara will purify and unfold it. The next, to reach the Vijnanamaya kosha, you have to attain it through the process of dharana. Okay? That's the relation between all these practices. All right. So that's about dharana. Now we will look at this niyama. Okay. So we covered yama sadhana in the previous week. All the 5. So niyama also you have 5. So what is niyama? So niyama is practice of physical and psychic. So yama is practice of physical and psychic, while niyama is will cover mundane, supramundane, and spiritual strata. So the practice of niyama is actually internal. So, for example, all the practice like asteya, non-stealing, ahimsa, okay, non-injury, satya, all these involve other people. So the practice, as I mentioned earlier, yama means to maintain balance in your environment, external environment. So niyama is about internal, how you maintain balance internally. So there are 5 parts. Saucha or cleanliness, I mean literally means cleanliness. Santosha means the state of proper ease or balance. Tapa means struggling to achieve one's goal. Swadhyaya means to study the shastras and to study yourself. And Ishvara Pranidhana is one aspect of sadhana practice. Okay, so this week we will cover Saucha and Santosha. So Saucha means purity or cleanliness. So it can be subdivided into 2 parts. External sphere and internal. So basically, so you know about external cleanliness, you have to take bath, you have to keep your house clean, you have to keep your room clean, you have to keep your table clean. No? I think this is quite common, we know. Okay? You take bath twice a day or thrice a day, brush your teeth on it. So this is saucha, externally. So internally, saucha means maintaining the purity of your mind. So we have mentioned about this earlier, okay? How to balance, how to manage your subconscious mind. Okay? What sort of thoughts you have to, you have to control, you have to observe your thoughts. Okay? So you have to refrain yourself from cultivating certain type of thoughts. So last week we looked into this Shatripu and Astapasha. Okay? So you should be able to control all that. That is part of internal saucha. Okay? So these two, this saucha is really essential. If you don't maintain saucha, if, for example, you have a lot of negative thoughts throughout the day, and in the evening, if you try to go and sit for meditation, it's difficult. Okay, and if you repeat the pattern, for example, um, according to yoga, so you generate about 50,000 thoughts in 1 hour. And you should multiply it by your waking hours. That's the number of thoughts you generate in a day. And you tend to repeat this 90% of this the next day. So if you have good thoughts, positive thoughts, to be good, you'll actually definitely will have lesser than 50,000 in an hour. Okay. If the thoughts are negative in nature, normally it's more. Okay, so they will form a negative pattern. Okay, so basically the internal Saucha is about managing your mind. So next is Santosha. So Santosha was formed from the word Tosha, means a state of mental ease. It's normally in life we tend to overreact to many things, okay, to both good things and bad things. So in yoga, we say always try to maintain a balanced state of mind. So this is Santosh. Always maintain mental ease, okay, a pleasant state of mind. Okay. And this becomes easier when you succeed in your pratyahara and dharma. Okay. So in the for yama, earlier I've shown that it is symbolized by triangle, essentially facing upward. Niyama is like this, inverted triangle. All right. So before I go to the conclusion, okay, so last week when we discussed about pratyahara, you should relate that to your practice. So the beginners in this course, so you learned this. We have shared some practice like the 61 points, breathing, and all that. All that will assist you in your pratyahara. So when you do the process, you will understand whether it works or not. Okay. So I give you an example about how a well-trained mind can meditate. So there's a story of a master who was traveling, and during his travel, he felt very thirsty, and he happened to pass by a buffalo herd. He asked for water. Okay, so then the buffalo herd, instead of giving water, he gave him some milk, buffalo milk. And this master became very, really appreciate that act, kindness, and requested the buffalo herd to ask for something. But the buffalo herd said, you came, I addressed him, Maharaj, you came and asked something from me. I am the giver here, and I don't trade. So I just served you, and that's it. I don't want anything from you. So the master felt, oh, this boy is not an ordinary buffalo herd. Okay, if you don't want to ask anything, so maybe I think I want to do something for you. So I think I want to teach you meditation. So he asked him, so what is your favorite thing? What you like most in this life? So the buffalo herd replied, oh, of course these buffaloes. I like them. Okay. Then the master started to teach him a mantra. He asked him to repeat a mantra. The mantra is Baisoham. Okay. So Baisoham means in Sanskrit. Baisoham means I am a buffalo. I am a buffalo. Okay. Baisoham. So we ask him to sit in a certain manner, a certain posture. And so there's a small cave there. Here you repeat this mantra. I'll come after 3 days. When this boy was concentrating so nicely on this mantra, for 3 days he didn't move from that place. So on the third day, the master approached him and called him. Please come out from the cave. He said, I can't come out because my horn is blocking me. Even my body can't move. So the boy identified himself so perfectly with the meaning of the mantra. I am a buffalo. So he felt that he's a buffalo. So the master understood that, so he has perfect pratyahara, perfect dharana. Okay, even went to the state of dhyan, meditation. So he said, okay, good. Now I will change your mantra. Now you repeat Shivoham. Okay, Shivoham means I am consciousness. Okay, so that's how the story ended. And the buffalo herd eventually became a realized yogi. Okay, so this is the science behind the mantra. So when you talk about dharana, dhyana, samadhi. So before samadhi, so there's pratyahara. So to be able to perform pratyahara, first you should be able to focus on a single thing. So normally in tantra they give you a mantra. So mantra means they'll give you a single mantra. Okay, and you are not supposed to go and see many masters and collect mantras from everyone, thinking that the more you have, the better it is. No. You just work on a single mantra, a single path. Okay, because it takes time to plant and cultivate new samskara in your chitta. So suppose you use a mantra, the master give you, the mantra will have a bhavana, you start to ideate. And when you start to ideate on the mantra, sadhana, so there will be a lot of obstacles. Okay. So yeah, so you will so there will be a struggle. It's not like you learn, even if you happen to meet the greatest master. Okay, realization won't happen in a single day, because apart from your desire, okay, to attain realization, you have your obstacle, you have your samskaras, you have the challenges and so on. So it takes time. And remember, it's just like sadhana is like a project. For example, if the government decides to build a highway, then you just decide today, okay, we want to build a highway in this particular area and start to cut all the trees and all. Can't do that, right? So first you have to do survey to see which is the best route. Okay, so and then you have to do a cost benefit analysis to find out. They may have about 2 or 3 options. They will find the most cost effective and safe. Okay, and there are social costs. Okay, sometimes when you do want to build a highway, you may have to do land acquisition. It means you have the route might be passing some commercial land or residential land, so you have to go and buy the land. Okay, and it's not just buying; the people should be willing to give up. So there's a process, right? So you have to first find out the options, do cost benefit analysis, find out the best route, do land acquisition, and then you have to engage the architect, and you have to call for bidders, okay, who can give the best price, who has the best expertise, and so on. And you start what do you call start the process. So similarly, you want to take up yoga. So like here in this course, we are giving you an understanding about the 8 limbs of yoga. Okay? So we also give you an understanding. It's not just about the 8 limbs of yoga. It is a technique. It's not about technique alone. It's also about you, about what you understand about yourself, about your samskara, okay, how much samskara you have, what type of samskara you have, okay? And how to tune your samskara again. And then you have the role of the master. Okay? All this have to come in place. And then only the project will become successful. Okay? So to conclude, so sadhana is a sustained effort, okay, to attain the goal of self-realization. So in sadhana, a sadhaka should become an adept in the process of sadhana through abhyasa or repeated and steady practice. So secondly, karma yoga is a prerequisite for sadhana. Okay? You must engage in karma. And karma yoga will lead you to karma sannyasa. Okay? And you should also engage in the process of jnana yoga. Okay? That means you have to study the work of scriptures. Okay? So you may also want to study there's some biographies of like autobiography of yogi, some of this life of some great masters, contemporary and also in the past, so to give you some idea. And most important of all, you must find a guru and must surrender to the guru. Okay, and you must snatch the grace of the guru. Okay, so in Tantra, the master, a realized master, the manifestation of the Supreme Being, the representative of the Supreme Being. Okay, and of course you have to assess it. You will know when you are ready. All right. With that, I would like to conclude the lesson of this week. And namaskar. Thanks for listening. I would like to open for discussion and question. Thank you.
Answer one small question.
Yeah.
Sir, can you hear me?
Yeah. Is this Brother Vasan? Is it?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay.
Just now you mentioned. Just now you showed us the symbol of niyama, and I noticed that in the beginning of the class you showed me the symbol of I don't know what to say, rising sun and
Okay.
some swastika and Ananda Marga symbol. If you have time, if you don't mind, can you please explain the whole complete meaning?
Yeah, sure.
If you agree
Yeah,
to
sure.
explain.
So I'll go to this symbol. Okay. So we have this symbol. Okay. So look at this is the
Yes.
symbol. Right. You see this symbol it has many meanings. Okay, the introverted and extroverted triangle. So for the first time in history, this symbol was used by, according to the history of Tantra, is the yeah.
Even Murugan also
Popular.
have the symbol on his wheel.
So in the Tantra Shastra, you'll come across this symbol very often. Okay. So originally it was known as Bhairavi Chakra, okay, without the swastika and the rising sun. Okay. But before that, the introverted triangle refers to niyama, the extroverted one refers to yama. Okay. The other one is the triangle, the extroverted one also is the shape of your Manipur chakra. Okay. The third chakra, and the introverted one is the shape of the chakra here. Right. So there are two forces. That means naturally you have this urge or desire to extrovert everything. Okay. And you also have the ability to introvert yourself. Okay. And these two has to be balanced. So if you look at the Western society, so their psychology is symbolized by the extroverted, okay, the triangle which is pointing upward. So everything, they are very focused on the external world and they do a lot of research to conquer nature and so on. And the Eastern counterpart, they're very focused on spirituality. Okay, so somehow it's an off-balance thing. Okay, but Tantra from the very beginning, you cannot focus only on one triangle, it has to be both. Okay? Then only there will be progress. So Sadashiva, who is the first master of Tantra, so he used that symbol. Okay, he said the symbol is actually a yantra. So when the master charged it, so it will have certain vibration which influence the mind of disciple. And they also say in another master, Lord Krishna, who came much later, he used the same symbol, but in the middle he placed a lotus and a water. The lotus symbolizes detachment. I mean, the ability to live in this world. Okay, so, blooming like a lotus, untouched by the challenges of life. Okay, so now our master used the same symbol. So he placed the rising sun. That means when there's a balance between your introverted and extroverted tendency, there will be progress. Okay, and that progress is symbolized by the rising sign. And swastika symbolizes the permanent victory. Okay. So we cannot live in this world just by focusing on spirituality, by neglecting the external world, and you cannot focus on external world neglecting the spiritual progress. So again, dharma, artha, kama, moksha. So the extroverted one is artha and kama. The introverted one is dharma and moksha. Okay. That's the meaning of the symbol. Any other question? If there's no other question, then I like to conclude the class. Give another last call. Yeah, I don't see any question in the chat also. All right. Okay, so I will see you again next Saturday, 8 o'clock.
Very much. Namaskar.
Okay, and also we will give you an evaluation form for you to give you some comment and all that about the course. So you'll share in the group and just participate in that. Thank you very much. Namaskar.